Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Amazon monthly briefing for the month of October 2018. My name is Jack O'Leary. I'm a senior analyst with the team here at Planet Retail R&G, now known as Edge by Ascential. For those of you who have tuned into this webinar in the past, you may notice that we've got some different branding this time around. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for those of you who are first timers, this is our regular monthly webinar where we basically go into the latest developments and news events that have happened around Amazon over the past month with a little bit of analysis of the implications and reasoning behind those moves on behalf of Amazon. And then we do a deep dive into one individual Amazon tactic. Tactics covered in the past have ranged from profitability management to in-stocks. Today, we are looking at Amazon program management. But as I said before, you'll notice that we've got a new branding here today. We were very excited to announce this week on Tuesday that Planet Retail R&G and its sister organizations have now merged and formed into our new branding that's known as Edge by Ascential. So just to kind of outline that for everyone, clients and otherwise on the call, we wanted to just show a couple slides presenting that. So for those maybe familiar with Planet Retail R&G or any of our organizations, the journey here has been our parent company, Ascential, began with the acquisition of Retail Net Group and combining that with Planet Retail in 2015. After that, One Click Retail, the leading provider of sales and share data for Amazon, was acquired in 2016. And then subsequently in the years following that, Clavis Insight, one of the leading digital shelf monitoring tools, was acquired in 2017 and followed most recently this past summer by the acquisition of BrandView, also a digital shelf oriented company, but particularly strong in price and promo. So over the past few years, I've had the fortune of seeing through my association with Plant Retail R&G the build out of a really robust platform. And the only thing really remaining in our kind of future development is our new brand, which you'll see today. So we've got these 4 brands now. They're all under the parent umbrella of Ascential, our parent company. And we're about to take the next step forward and really launch under this new branding that you'll see from us in all communications going forward, known as Edge. So just to give you an idea of where exactly the products were and where they're heading, basically every single individual company and platform is now under the Edge umbrella and really offering unique and comprehensive retail and e-commerce data sets, insights, and otherwise. One Click Retail is really going to power the Edge market share tool. Clavis Insight is going to power the Edge digital shelf. BrandView will power price and promotion by Edge. And finally, Retail Insights will be powered basically by legacy Planet Retail R&G. So things like this webinar, which you are attending today, will be very much under that bucket. But what I think is most helpful here to really understanding, this brand and our future as a company is thinking about, what we're really trying to provide. And we're trying to have both a human and technological expertise area that really covers guiding our clients through the future of retail, which we really feel is highly e-commerce driven. So we're going to have some of the industry's leading data coverage and data science to really drive actionable insights on that. Leading industry expertise, which we're going to demonstrate through things like webinars, reports, as well as kind of capabilities to help guide that. And also just basically being as Edge, as one total brand, the best-in-class strategic partner to drive success for anyone looking to operate most successfully and win in this e-commerce driven future digital retail world. So after kind of going through why we're maybe in a new format now, it is business as usual for me and you all in the audience in terms of our Amazon monthly briefing, our webinar here. And for the month of October, as I said, we're going to keep to the same script where I'll run through what has been a pretty busy month from Amazon in terms of recent events and initiatives. And then we'll close out with looking at one specific Amazon tactic. For this month, I've lined up managing Amazon's programs. And what I mean by programs when I say that is everything from Amazon Pantry to Prime Now to Fresh to otherwise. Really, the consumer-facing programs that Amazon utilizes to provide unique convenience or experience or price or deliver certain categories, and what it really means for suppliers to operate on the Amazon marketplace, but also more specifically with those individual programs. But with that, let's jump into the recent events recap here. So, we like to frame this not as just a headline dump. You can read any sort of news timeline and see all of the recent headlines of major moves by Amazon in the last month. We really want to drive towards, what are the implications and strategic insights and relevance to suppliers around Amazon's developments and moves and strategic initiatives of the past month. And we really like to frame that thinking around one of our frameworks known as the digital ecosystem. If any of you have attended the webinar before, you've seen me run through this, but just to briefly describe it, we believe Amazon and other e-commerce platforms around the world are more than just retail platforms. They are truly transformational business models that are disrupting countless industries, retail and otherwise, and they're really what we like to define as a digital ecosystem. And there's 4 key pillars, which you can see on the screen here, that make up a digital ecosystem. I think the first I like to talk about is scale. The retail aspect of a Amazon or an Alibaba with their Tmall, or increasingly Walmart or other large-scale retail platforms around the world, is that they have tremendous sales volume and tremendous viewership. And this really powers their success, one, in driving economies of scale, because e-commerce is a particularly difficult business line to be in generating any sort of profit, but then also to drive all the other aspects of the business model in terms of understanding the consumer and having as many touch points across their consumption, lifestyle, retail, and otherwise as possible. So ways that they drive that scale is what we like to call an expansive value stack. That's basically the total consumer offering that you'll get from an Amazon. One way to think about it for Amazon is basically all of the benefits that you get from your Prime membership program. Outside of that, when you have this tremendous scale, you get tremendous consumer data. Amazon understands their shopper across their online shopping behavior, maybe their voice behavior, their behavior in terms of content consumption, if they look at Amazon Instant Video, things like that, and increasingly their store-based behavior as new store formats emerge, like the Amazon Go store, Amazon Whole Foods store network integration. Finally, these platforms are more than just retailers. They're the most technologically innovative platforms around the world. They are constantly investing in the heaviest R&D spenders among publicly traded companies to really develop what is going to be the transformational technologies that really are relevant to retail in the future, and also expand their digital ecosystem, developing what could be the next tens of billions of dollars revenue line for them, whether that be something like a rapid high-speed delivery, or building out a logistics network, which they use and sell capacity to other providers, whether it be smart hardware like smart speakers. These are the most innovative platforms in the world, and they're truly digital ecosystems. They're more than just retailers. So I think you can view Amazon's recent moves and major headlines always through the lens of Amazon as a digital ecosystem, more than just simply a retailer. So I think the first and most pressing point of news is that Amazon's reporting their Q3 earnings today. I put down some expectations here for what we're looking for when they report later this afternoon. Looking at perhaps around 30% net sales growth on a global basis. That will get them up to close to 57 billion USD globally net sales. This is more of a directional perspective than just retail, because as everyone on the line probably knows, Amazon is involved in so many new business lines because they're a digital ecosystem that net sales is the aggregate of both their retail business as the largest component, but things like their ad revenue, areas like AWS, which is highly unrelated to their retail business. I think most importantly for us in thinking about Amazon as a partner on this call is Amazon has reached a new inflection point in terms of maturity as a total company. They're consistently reporting, I believe this will be, if successful, their 14th straight quarter of positive operating income, and the perspective on operating margin from the analyst community is around $1.8 billion. That's still pretty lean compared to other retail platforms, but for Amazon, they are consistently reporting profit, and that profit margin is increasing on a consistent basis. I think it is just an indicator that the ecosystem that is Amazon is maturing, and all of its various diversified revenue lines are supporting Amazon as a total company and really driving its success forward. And so I'll be looking closely to see what the profit figures look like this evening once Amazon reports results. But looking at some of the headlines, I think probably one of the most eye-catching in terms of the amount of press it's got was the Amazon minimum raise increase. They were getting a lot of pressure from some legislator members around the treatment of their part-time seasonal employees and full-time employees working in their fulfillment centers. So Amazon moved to raise the minimum wage for any employee across the entire company from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour standardized. Even this news, which on the surface, seemed exciting for many of their employees, as it was applicable to all employees, part-time, seasonal, full-time, has had some controversy around it. Amazon's previous pay structure for their fulfillment center employees involved some deferred restricted stock units, also for high-performing employees in good performing fulfillment centers. There was also some variable compensation around holiday periods. What we're talking about is basically bonuses. Supposedly under this new pay structure, more of that variable compensation and long-term compensation in terms of restricted stock units is getting minimized in return for a higher hourly rate. So this news is an interesting one. I think from a competitive standpoint, this is a good move on Amazon's part, because to get ahead of regulators on this issue, and then also to get ahead of industry trends. There's countless retailers that have paid industry-leading wages to their benefit for a while. I think of Costco, namely. And so just to be on the front edge of this, and basically to kind of push this issue and be perceived as a leader in the public eye, but then also just be ahead of it and make the decision on your own terms, I think is beneficial to Amazon as a model, as they compete in a particularly tight labor market for some lower income earners with other retail stores and other business models. Another news headline that made a fair amount of buzz: there is a CIRP organization that does an annual survey, basically a panel-based survey to determine the state of Amazon Prime membership. And Prime membership is so critical to the Amazon business model. It's really that value stack aspect of the digital ecosystem. It retains shoppers, it draws shoppers in, and according to the CIRP survey, it makes them spend more money with Amazon. According to CIRP, Prime members spend on average $1,400 a year on Amazon.com. Your average Amazon shopper who is not a member of Prime spends only $600, according to this organization. The more interesting news, and this is, I think, of no surprise to anyone, is that in the United States, they view Prime membership as slowing. They estimate that there is 97 million US Prime members, and that was only an 8% year-on-year increase from September of 2017. That's the slowest increase that they've seen since they started doing this survey. Two perspectives from our end here and how we're thinking about it is: one, 97 million seems like a lot. Amazon just recently, I think 2 quarters ago, revealed that they have over 100 million global Prime members. To say that the United States accounts for 97%, maybe 95% of that, I think the United States is the majority, but to say that high, I think that's a little bit misleading. Additionally, it's no surprise that in the United States, a country of I think 340 million people, there is going to be a certain saturation point of who can really be interested in and afford Prime membership, especially when we see rate increases this year. Amazon Prime membership went up another $20 this year. So I think that from a strategic perspective, this is just basically putting the pressure on Amazon International. The United States and Prime membership and the model here is going to keep humming along, driving the most sales dollars for Amazon, but Amazon's going to look to international markets to drive growth, acquire new Prime memberships, and really keep up this explosive net sales growth they have year over year, because to some extent the US is reaching a level of saturation. There's a lot of room to grow share with each of those individual Prime members, but in terms of pure customer acquisition, I think the international markets is going to be a clear point of emphasis for Amazon going forward. Another kind of news headline that was not actually initiated by Amazon, but I felt was still relevant, is the U.S. Postal Service is proposing raising rates on its package service. So a 9.3% increase for packages weighing over 1 pound, 12.3% increase for lighter packages. This is just proposed to take effect, if accepted, it takes effect end of January 2019. What's interesting here is that Amazon increasingly is reliant on its delivery partners in the United States, namely that's the U.S. Postal Service, FedEx, and UPS. And so we've seen Amazon make recent moves lately to do things like build out a fleet of jetliners branded with Amazon Prime. They've got a fleet of semi-trailer trucks. They're looking to launch some of their own delivery fleets with delivery vans, and also enabling entrepreneurs to build up their own Amazon delivery van fleets. All of this Amazon expresses publicly is by no means Amazon going after the distribution industry, but is instead a move by them to just have their own excess capacity to keep up during seasonal demand spikes, say around the holidays. Some people watching this think that Amazon does long term want to build out its own distribution capabilities to sell that to others, to utilize that capacity for other e-commerce models that maybe want to do delivery. But I also think in the short term, what's most important with having their own delivery capabilities is it hedges them against rate increases from some of their partners that they rely on heavily, the U.S. Postal Service being one of them. So I think moves like this, we'll expect them to continue. And they are headwinds to Amazon in terms of they increase costs of fulfillment, which is already a massively exploding expense item for Amazon on their income statement. So it will be interesting to see in what ways Amazon responds to either find different external partners or build out their own capabilities in terms of delivery to basically hedge themselves against moves outside their control from delivery partners. Alexa, the Amazon voice-powered system, has seen an app redesign as of late. I think the most important bit of news here is, navigation has gotten easier. Yes, they want to help people find the skills most impactful to them. But I also think there's a realization with this app redesign from what we've seen in two areas. One is that the use cases of Alexa and voice systems are becoming more apparent. There are some internal figures revealed recently that really shoppers are not using Alexa to this stage very much for actual commerce. Very few purchases are actually being made. People are using it to a high degree for everything from setting reminders to building shopping lists to checking the weather, checking the news, playing music. And also, most importantly, probably for Amazon, they are interfacing with their smart home via voice using the Alexa system, turning lights on and off, checking, if a connected oven is preheated or not, things of that sort. So I think twofold, Amazon is redesigning the app to really put the top use case items first to really show people, how helpful and convenient the system can be. But then also they're really promoting, as you can see on the screen here, connecting your Alexa system with your smart home. Amazon wants to be centrally placed in the home going forward because, even if there isn't that much in terms of transactions moving through voice currently, it seems like it's going to be a highly transformational model in terms of how the future consumer does things online and interfaces with systems. So Amazon wants to centrally control that, understand that data. It also lends itself to the idea that Amazon's a digital ecosystem, not a retailer. They care more about really being central in the person's home, collecting that data, understanding that shopper behavior, understanding that browsing behavior, more so than whatever sales dollars they currently are not getting through it. So I think look for Amazon to increasingly do things like this where they try to input the Alexa system into as many homes as possible to really be best positioned to win in this future voice-influenced world. Amazon Business, which is one of Amazon's more quiet programs, you don't really hear a lot of news out of that arm, is launching a new basically business prime service. It still will have rapid free delivery like the consumer arm sees on a wide range of items for business shoppers. But now Business Prime members receive a new suite of benefits that regular Amazon business shoppers do not. They've got some new analytics tools to view spend visibility. So basically, if you're doing procurement for an office, you can better track high spend areas, low spend areas, and understand that long term. Guided buying, understanding, using kind of data and analytics, what you as a business shopper need most. And then also, I think more interestingly, better basically payment terms to shoppers. So receiving credit for business purchases. Additionally, with this news, Amazon Business Prime also announced the launch of a co-branded credit card with American Express that offers these extended payment terms, 45, 60 days, much more longer than your typical 30-day credit card payment cycle. Amazon is just simply trying to go after this massive market segment and looking to succeed against incumbent, basically business service providers, Staples, Office Depot, some other names, by basically positioning themselves as having the deepest assortment due to a vast seller base, and also some of the best service offerings, some of the best analytics tools, really trying to bring their technological, innovative focus to this area of shopping, because they see it as an untapped segment that they want to get into more so and get those sales dollars. Amazon 4-Star opened in NYC. I think in my last month I did announce this because I think it happened the day of, but it's we've had a chance to visit the store. It's an exciting example of Amazon utilizing its really trusted review network to curate a store by both the local region and then also what shoppers really want. So, it's got digital price tags. It's very clear that you as a Prime member shopping in the store get a discount on items because you're paying the Prime online price versus the in-store price. You also see really, really cool curation. We'll be interested to see if Amazon scales this or brings it to any of their other store formats. Also in London, Amazon's going to launch an Amazon fashion pop-up. It will feature Amazon private label fashion clothing lines, both men's and women's. It will also feature fashion brands that are selling on Amazon. It will be a highly experiential store trip. They're going to have things like live music and things geared around kind of fashion interest areas. But again, Amazon fashion, apparel has been a vertical that Amazon has struggled with, and so they're looking to simply expand there. And this is an acknowledgement that Amazon as a business model for certain categories needs to have touch points with the shopper in a physical environment in the real world. And so they're trialing and testing, innovating with things like pop-ups. So we'll be interested to see what this store looks like, and probably on the platform be looking to get pictures up on Planet Retail RNG's portal. So be on the lookout for that. Looking abroad, Amazon's launching its kind of entrepreneurial or seller delivery fleet system in India. What happens here is it's a program that's already been launched in the US, but Amazon provides financing and basically the vehicle for an entrepreneur to take on the business responsibility of running a delivery fleet of Amazon branded delivery vans, making money for themselves. The idea here for Amazon is they take some of the management requirements and liabilities out of their responsibility area in terms of delivery and put it on the backs of entrepreneurs who are assuming that risk. Additionally, it allows them to expand more rapidly. They don't need to build their own internal headcount to really launch some of the delivery logistics systems they need in certain areas when they've got a program like this in place. So a program like this that's been only recently launched in the US, the news that they're bringing it to India really is a testament to how valuable that market is to Amazon. And also the idea that this kind of more fragmented rollout of delivery capabilities via these third-party entrepreneurial individuals might be the best path forward, especially in a market with like India, with severe kind of delivery hurdles due to infrastructure issues, things of that sort. So look to Amazon to maybe expand this program to other markets around the world coming shortly. And then also in international news, also in the news of Alexa, I think I expanded earlier enough on the fact that Amazon wants Alexa to be ubiquitous. It wants it to be central in the home. It wants it to be everywhere everywhere the shopper is and interfacing with the shopper. So that also has a context of Amazon wants Alexa to reach every single shopper around the entire world in their base. There's a challenge here because it's a voice-powered system and it's run on artificial intelligence technology. You have to develop skills and sell hardware with, you know, those skill sets in the local languages around the world. So with every single new market rollout, Amazon is gaining a lead in terms of voice development around the world because developers are going to start building skills in Spanish on the Alexa platform first versus another one. And so Amazon is looking to lead the race around the world. So we will see skills kits developed in both Italy and Spain and look to Amazon to launch around more of the world going forward. And then finally, in our last kind of international bit of news, and then we'll get into the tactic because I know we are running a bit long here, is Amazon is expanding into finally into consumables in Australia. Amazon launched their full marketplace in Australia earlier in 2018. And it's been a slow launch and to mixed reviews. They've got limited fulfillment centers. They did launch Prime earlier this year, but that, you know, under 2-day delivery is really only available to limited regions of Australia, some of the major urban centers, and also for limited items. They are doing a great job of growing seller assortment for some traditional categories that do better online, you know, consumer electronics, things of that sort. But Amazon really wants to attack all categories in every market it is. And so launching these, granted non-perishable, but still consumable items in a curated section of Amazon.com, pantry, food and drinks, is just an exhibition of Amazon is strategy around the world in every single market to try and go after as many categories as possible. So with that, we will go into a tactic that we've identified for this month. This is a fairly brief one because we had a lot to cover today in terms of news developments, and then also some of our personal rebranding news. But let's look at managing Amazon's programs. And what do I mean by Amazon programs? Well, they cover a lot of different areas. They're either usually focused at going after categories that Amazon traditionally struggles with, oftentimes consumables, groceries, perishables, or going after convenience. So things like Prime Now, which with delivery in under 2 hours in certain urban centers, and also, you know, things like Amazon Dash replenishment. So I guess running through the programs here, Prime Now is a well-known program in the US and around the world. It's already in 61 US metro areas. It is free under 2-hour delivery to Prime members. The assortment keeps expanding. They also sell items from local grocery stores. Increasingly, also they're selling items from Whole Foods, which I'll talk about later. Amazon Fresh is Amazon's legacy grocery delivery platform. And then there's other programs across the bottom here. Subscribe and Save is a program where a shopper can set up for automatic recurring orders for a discount. Additionally, there's a program, Prime Pantry, items that do not sell well online due to their bulkiness relative to their price level. Amazon allows a shopper to either purchase an individual box, fill it up, and have these items delivered to their home, or subscribe and do the same thing. And then there's a really innovative program, Amazon Dash replenishment, where connected hardware, things like Brita filters or printers, basically when they run out of high-use items, things like filters, they're automatically reordered and sent to the shopper's home. I think one of the key frameworks that we like to look at here is these programs, not all of them are going to be successes. They're all high investment areas for Amazon, but leaning in on the right programs early can lead to leadership on them and long-term success for you as a supplier in your business. These are really big growth engines, and they can take off if they really resonate with consumers. So, you know, while the upfront investment requirements are heavy with a lot of these programs, they can truly lead to growth and success long-term in terms of market share and revenue growth for brands that partner in the right places selectively and tactically. I wanted to run through just 3 of the programs for everyone on the call. So Prime Pantry had a recent development this year. They actually moved from the pay per box model. Previously, it was $6 per box. You filled it up with your items, and then it was delivered to your home for for that baseline fee. Now it is moved to a subscription model, and basically the break-even point of either paying more on a per box basis versus having the items delivered is 7.5 orders per year. And then there's also a kind of interesting consideration around pantry in terms of why are these items classified as pantry, and what does this mean about my assortment? So pantry only designation, if not intentional by you as a supplier, can indicate profitability issues. As everyone knows on the line, Amazon evaluates each of its individual listings and items on Amazon.com on an individual profitability basis. Pantry is suited for items that are too bulky to their relative low cost, or too heavy to their relative low cost, for them to be able to fulfill to shoppers' home effectively. So if Amazon is moving your items into the pantry program purposefully, it can often be on what we've got demonstrated here, mean that your items are on a downward slide to basically being too unprofitable for Amazon to realize a profit, and potentially it could be at risk for delistment. Now, that being said, if it's an intentional and stable involvement with the pantry program, this is probably not the case, but nevertheless, I did feel the need to put this on here just to demonstrate that pantry items are a little bit closer to that profitability threshold that can become worrisome for Amazon listings. I wanted to kind of close out with a look at the Amazon online grocery offering and how it really evolves around these programs, and the integration of the Whole Foods store network into this whole concept and idea. Amazon's acquisition of Whole Foods, 450 stores in the US, has really given them a little bit more leeway in terms of how they run their grocery platform long term, and it has given them distributed perishable inventory around the country that they can fulfill directly to shoppers' doorstep in a more economically viable way. We're seeing them take advantage of this distributed store network by looking at them rolling out things like delivery and click and collect programs from Whole Foods stores around the country. There's 63 metro areas where Prime Now is currently delivering items, perishable items from Whole Foods stores. Additionally, click and collect, Amazon is running click and collect through the Prime Now app in 14 metro areas. So look to Amazon to continuously utilize the Whole Foods store network to develop their fulfillment model long term. And then finally, I wanted to indicate that Amazon is got new developments underway in terms of their grocery offering, and what is the future of Prime Now, Amazon Fresh, and Amazon.com. Amazon, in our prediction, is going to slowly kind of decline the relevance of the Prime Now and Amazon Fresh branding, and really bring those more integrated into the Amazon.com marketplace platform. And so I just got an example here. You're already seeing it with Amazon Fresh, the iceberg lettuce one head. Basically, when you search an individual item that is a fresh SKU on Amazon.com, you'll just see the little fresh designation there. Additionally, to the right here, you can see the well-known refine by tool that when you see an Amazon search, you can refine by the different items you want. Again, what I'm thinking long-term here is that when you search for these individual items, Prime Now is not going to be its own separate URL or app or program. It is simply going to be integrated within the main Amazon Marketplace app, and you'll see things like delivery speed, refine by delivery speed, receive in under 2 hours. So if you're in a geography that is Prime Now available and the item is near you, you'll simply be able to select that and curate your search history by what items are available at that speed. So long term, we're just simply thinking that we're going to see greater integration of these somewhat siloed separate brands, the elimination of the Amazon Fresh additional membership fee, or integration into your regular Prime fee, and really a more streamlined singular platform. So finally, to close out with recommendations for suppliers, I think when looking at Amazon programs, the first thing to do is determine which programs are most relevant to your category. So if you're operating in grocery perishables, I think the answer is pretty obvious. You're going to be looking at, what does the future of Prime Now look like? How is Whole Foods going to be relevant? How's that going to drive this category forward? After that, I think it's a matter of partnership with these Amazon programs. So determining really which programs to lean in on, invest in on early to get best positioning and really share in the growth these programs have as they see success. And then finally, I think the best suppliers will develop best practices around these programs. That can be as simple as understanding the content requirements, what is the way people search in these individual categories on Amazon.com. While Prime Now exists as a standalone app, what's the differences between the Prime Now trip and the Amazon.com trip? Is there a difference there? Also understanding the inventory management needs. Prime Now warehouses tend to be in urban centers. They also tend to be very small, so Amazon doesn't order a lot of inventory to be on hand because they've just got limited space. This is really challenging for suppliers to serve these warehouses because Amazon really wants a more just-in-time inventory system with items arriving almost daily in small quantities as needed. How do you optimize your system for that? And then finally, I think really innovative suppliers may look to match different parts of their portfolio to different programs. So the trip type of the Prime Now shopper, as I said, might be very different than the Click and Collect Prime Now Whole Foods shopper. Can I have a unique SKU for each of those types of trips? It's like in the physical world of what items do you have in grocery stores versus club versus convenience locations. I think that these programs can provide a good environment for really tailoring items. They also can be a good environment for kind of testing and learning what shopper desire is around these different trip types. So with that, I wanted to open it up to questions. I know I didn't bring this up at the beginning of the call, but you do have access to a question and answer tool. And again, you can see here, it's a little small on the screen. My email is listed here. Please do feel free, if you don't feel comfortable entering a question here, reaching out to me via email with any questions you have. After the webinar, in the coming days, I think early next week, we will be sharing out the recording, and also the deck will also be made available, through your Planet Retail RNG contacts. So yes, let's just see what kind of questions we have here. So there's a question here about the Treasure Truck program. How successful it is, do we see it growing, changing, what have you? I think Treasure Truck is really interesting. It is very much in line with things like, well, Amazon 4-star, I think, is another example. Amazon pop-ups. It is, I think, half kind of public relations vehicle device. It really delights people to go to these treasure trucks. They've got really unique assortment. For those of you who are unfamiliar, these are basically a large vehicle, highly branded with Amazon stuff. They're in a bunch of different cities, and they drive around and they basically either tweet or promote their location. People show up to them. There's all kinds of unique items you can shop for that are all also available on Amazon.com. There's a bunch of really friendly Amazon employees there to greet you. There's games. It's highly encouraging of Prime membership. It's really just an innovative way to have a real human-to-human contact when Amazon can be a pretty impersonal retailer. So yeah, I do think there's that element of it being kind of just promotional, building presence. But also, I think we'd all be misplaced if we didn't think Amazon was collecting data on just, what treasure truck initiatives have worked best. So let's say I've heard of them even selling, steaks off of treasure trucks on an individual day. Understanding, does that resonate with the shopper who comes by or not, and building that kind of data understanding into their system. I would say that I'd expect limited expansion of Treasure Truck. I think Amazon is very happy with the program as it stands, but in terms of a really high growth business model, I don't really see it as that. It's really more kind of in the promotional standpoint at this stage. B2B, talk more please about the threat to CPGs here. And I think it's an interesting one. So Amazon has the chance, and if you are a CPG and a lot of your categories are sold in this kind of B2B channel, I think the risk here is that in terms of your retail partners that you traditionally reach your small business shopper with, they're going to be competitively challenged by Amazon. And Amazon is going to take a greater share of the category and Amazon Business is going to be more relevant to you in thinking about your, business strategy long term. So, I think about everything from, the traditional office channels, Office Depot, Staples, who sell, much more these days than just simply your office products. They also, serve the entirety of the break room with everything from snacks to paper towels, cleaning items, things of that sort. They're going to be at risk because Amazon's going to, with enhanced offering, draw more business shoppers. The club channel has traditionally been a really popular business procurement channel for very small offices. People will go there to pick up snacks, mixed packs, things of that sort. Club will be challenged slightly. I think that the main implication here for CPG is that if you're not paying attention to Amazon Business and your product's positioning there, you should be. I think it should be very much a part of your total Amazon strategy. Amazon Business can source items off of the consumer marketplace as well. Is that a channel conflict for you as a CPG? I think that just understanding your presence there and what's exactly happening in terms of movement is pretty important because Amazon Business is exploding in growth. Business shoppers love it because they get pretty unlimited assortment, really fast delivery, and it's a really popular platform. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's see here. So there's a question here about the future of e-commerce, particularly of grocery in Latin America. Is Amazon interested in the region? I think that Amazon is interested in the region. Amazon is looking to go after grocery in every single market it's in. It's simply put, one of the biggest shares of shoppers' wallets, and that's only more true in developing markets or emerging markets as well. So I think some of the things we're looking at, Amazon in Mexico recently launched, much like it just did in Australia, actually, a food and beverages, all shelf stable, but definitely consumables kind of curated category section. Brazil is their other main market down there. They've only had just a limited move into a slightly limited marketplace. They're only selling things like appliances and electronics currently, but if they can figure out delivery in Brazil, I think long term they're going to look to go into grocery there. The reason here is I think they're feeling the pressure competitively from other players, some of which have store-based presences there. So Walmart in Mexico in particular is making a lot of moves. They acquired Corner Shop, which is a last mile grocery delivery company recently. They're also using Walmex stores to have home delivery in a number of different areas in Mexico. Additionally, they're offering click and collect. So Amazon, if they don't move quickly, might lose this future Latin American e-commerce customer, which is still very much, there's a lot of open space and there's a lot of shoppers to capture. So I'd say that Amazon and every other e-commerce provider in LATAM is limited by some of the infrastructure challenges, but they are definitely eyeing the region for its growth and will likely launch programs selectively there. I think for Amazon specifically, Mexico will be the first testing ground, and they'll expand outwards from there. So it'll be interesting to see. So with that, we're coming up against time here, but I wanted to thank everyone for joining the call today. Again, I will be getting to the questions I didn't get to here and expect us to reach out from our team. If you want to reach me via email, you can see it here on this slide. But I wanted to thank you all for joining me today. And until next month, I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.